La, 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 la. Hi folks, well, we're back here. I've just put a plastic over these mugs that were awaiting the handles. So let's put the handles on. So, how are we going to do that? Well, it is actually convenient. Well, I haven't got one here, but it's convenient to work off a banding wheel. Okay, so you've got your mug, which is nicely round and it's been thumbed off. So the first thing to consider is, where is the handle going to spring from? Well, let's have a look. In this case, that change of angle just there is the natural place where the handle would likely spring from. That would feel good. Also, think of the handle. What kind of handle do you want? You want a handle that's going to look right on the pot. Those are the first considerations, really. What it's going to look like and what it's going to feel like to hold. So you don't want a handle that is sticking out too far. Neither do you want a handle that you can barely get your fingers into. So you just want it to feel comfortable. Okay, so I'll just put that there. So, and I just use my fingernail. Wet your fingernail and just scratch key an area there. Okay, now this is a good little tip. When you've got your handles on the board like this, they can have a tendency to stick to the board. So what I always do is take your handle, and to release the handle from the board, push it from this thick end first, and then you can pick it up. Alright, so I've got the handle here now in my hand, so what am I going to do with it? Now you can see, because as I was mentioning earlier about cutting it off fairly sharply at a right angle, you've got that nice right angle there, which is going to help us now to make a good fixing there on the pot. But in order to give us a better area of contact, use your knuckle of your thumb and hold it just below the top there, and splay the end of it like that, just by going like that. That'll give a slightly widened point of contact there. So now, taking the handle, offer it up to the mug and apply some pressure there, keeping it. Make sure that you never let the handle drop when you're doing this. In other words, always keep it supported like I am doing there. Alright, so with my thumb underneath, thumb on top there, work it in the clay into the where the join is. You dip it in some water, dip your hand in the water, and we now pull the handle off the pot like that, like I'm doing. This basically is just to clean up the handle and give it a nice fresh look. Okay. Now I can't emphasize enough how important it is that when you go from that position to that position, that you support the handle. You never let it droop, never let it fall, because if it does, it develops a weak area just there, which can be fatal. Right, now, holding it by the end of the handle, just let the handle fall naturally. But because I've got the end of it held, I'm supporting it, you see, so it can't fall. Now I just put that to the base of the mug and just press it there a little bit like that. Okay, meanwhile, we're just going to make sure that everything is just as it should be at the top end here. Have a little squint at it sideways, see if the shape is right. What is the right shape, you might ask? Well, indeed. What is the right shape? Well, you want a shape that conveys a feeling of, if you have a handle that you put onto a mug and it's sort of droopy down, it gives a sort of rather depressed feeling to the mug. So what I like to do, I can only tell you from my angle on this, give it a certain amount of lift, alright, slightly lifted higher, but not lifted right up, so it's all looking all kind of cocked up and jerked up. You want to make it look like this, so the handle is, it's just feeling at peace, with the mug. It's just happy to be there. I reckon that's the best way to describe it. Okay, so what are we going to do with this tail? Well, we're going to use our thumb. Now, just wipe off on so you've got your thumb is a bit dry, and then push it and smear it away like that, you see? And again on this side, like that. So we've still got the tail there. What are we going to do with that? We're going to lift him up, and then we're just going to flick him off. Comme ça. Alright, now once I've done that, I don't want to go over it. Some people like to use a sponge and they go all over it and they rub it and they titivate it. No. Once you've done that, don't go back to it again. I'll try and keep that look really nice and fresh, finished on the end. So you've got the feeling of that you can almost see the finger marks going through the clay and cutting it off. You want to keep that looking nice and fresh. I think that's important. Those are the small little details that give life to a pot, When you start fiddling around with a sponge like this and sort of dib dab and you lose that, and it's an important thing to keep, I think. Okay, so I always keep my seals in a little bowl and I don't lose them. So I'm going to put my seal under there, put Spain there as well. We live here after all. Spain. Okay, so that's that one. So put that one there. Now take the next one. Keep a bit tidy as you're working, otherwise you get messy in it. So again, point of location, scratch with your fingernail. If you haven't got a fingernail, well, you just have to use a fork. Did you say?
A fork.
Well, a fork. I don't know about a fork, but anyway, anything to scratch it with. So we're going to take it. We're going to, as we said before, we're going to splay the end, spit on it if you like, offer it up to the mug. Make sure it's in the right place. Okay, you need to apply a little bit of pressure at this point here now. Okay, with the index finger underneath, and with the thumb on top, working the clay into the join. Okay, now next thing is wet it, pull it away from the pot. Now when you're pulling it, make sure that the pot is at right angles to where you're pulling. Okay, pull it down there. That's going to freshen it up, make it look nice and clean. Okay, taking the handle by the end and let it fall naturally like that. Okay, just give it a little bit of pressure. Just going to have a little look there and see if it needs a little lift maybe. Make sure it's looking just comfortable. Happy to be there. Now, dry your finger. Okay, now we're going to just push that clay away like that. Smear it away in a sort of progressive push. Okay, and again, that way. Lift up his tail and flick him off. Okay, no messing. Not too much touching up. Okay. How's he looking? Now it's always good to check your handles to make sure that it's very easy that they can very easily veer off if you're not careful. So just check that he's square, upright, etc. Get your seal. Da, 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 da. Spain, planet Earth. And there we go. Put him on the board with the next one. And we are ready to get on with the next one and then the next one, etc., etc. So folks, that's it. Putting on handles. It's a useful thing to know how to do. Once you can put on a handle, you'll be able to put on a knob on a lid and put on a lug on the side of a casserole dish and that kind of thing. It's all useful stuff. Learning how to handle the clay. And when I say handle, I mean have it in your hands and manipulate it and do all these things that we as potters need to do. You know, here's putting on knobs. Okay folks, Simon Leach here saying, stay with it, keep practicing. We'll see you around.